We all know Mark Twain, don't we? And just in case if you haven't read any of his books or stories, then I'm sure that you would have read at least one of his many popular quotes or read a joke somewhere. Interestingly, not many people know that Mark Twain was his pen name. His real name was Samuel Clemens, and we can safely say that he was the greatest humorist that America or probably the world ever saw. In fact, he was pretty much the founder of this humor writing. And I'm going to talk a bit about that. I'm going to read from one of his essays where he tells us how to tell a story, or to be more precise, how to tell a humorous story. And he, in a very simple manner, in very clear and precise manner, he tells us how do we write humor. And just like his humor, his advice on writing remains as interesting as it would have been in 19th or 20th century. So here we go. I'm going to read from the essay. I do not claim that I can tell a story as it ought to be told. I can claim to know how a story ought to be told, for I have been almost daily in the company of the most expert storytellers for many years. There are several kinds of stories, but only one difficult kind, the humorous. I will talk mainly about that one. The humorous story is American, the comic story is English, the witty story is French. The humorous story depends for its effect upon the manner of the telling, the comic story and the witty story upon the matter. The humorous story may be spun out to great length and may wander around as much as it pleases and arrive nowhere in particular. But the comic and witty stories must be brief and end with a point. The humorous story bubbles gently along, the others burst. The humorous story is strictly a work of art, high and delicate art, and only an artist can tell it. But no art is necessary in telling the comic and the witty story. Anybody can do it. The art of telling a humorous story, understand, I mean by word of mouth, not print, was created in America and has remained at home. The humorous story is told gravely. The teller does his best to conceal the fact that he even dimly suspects that there is anything funny about it. But the teller of the comic story tells you beforehand that it is one of the funniest things he has ever heard, then tells it with eager delight, and is the first person to laugh when he gets through. And sometimes, if he has had good success, he is so glad and happy that he will repeat the nub of it and glance around from face to face, collecting applause, and then repeat it again. It is a pathetic thing to see. Very often, of course, the rambling and disjointed humorous story finishes with a nub, point, snapper, or whatever you like to call it. Then the listener must be alert, for in many cases the teller will divert attention from that nub by dropping it in a carefully casual and indifferent way, with the pretense that he does not know it is a nub. Artemus Ward used that trick a good deal. Then, when the belated audience presently caught the joke, he would look up with innocent surprise, as if wondering what they had found to laugh at. But the teller of the comic story does not slur the nub. He shouts it at you every time. And when he prints it in England, France, Germany, and Italy, he italicizes it. He puts some whooping exclamation points after it, and sometimes explains it in a parenthesis, all of which is very depressing and makes one want to renounce joking and lead a better life.